I often see a lot of people complaining about lack of XP when upgrading units. This is a notable complaint from people who just got a lot of new Ubers, as Ubers takes a lot of XP to upgrade. Lacking XP means that your units will lack levels, and a unit that lacks levels can be worthless at times. Leveling a unit can be extremely crucial, as a difference of one level can make a massive change in a level, but not having the XP to do so can be a very bad case for you. Leveling up is important, therefore XP is important as well. In that case, then what should you do? Obviously, you need to be efficient with your XP, or you can go on an XP farm fest. I will be talking about both in a bit, but mostly about how to be efficient with your XP. So here are some tips on how to be efficient with spending your XP. Keep in mind though that if you're someone that doesn't actually mind farming XP, none of this might apply to you since you're probably not really looking for efficient ways to spend and farm XP anyways. Now let's begin. First of all, and I cannot stress this more, upgrade your units to max or don't upgrade at all. I cannot stress more on how important this is. If you want to upgrade a unit, never stop midway. You need to go all the way to a level where a unit is usable, or you do not upgrade the unit at all. Rule of thumb is to upgrade your units around level 29 or 30 or whatever your cap is at the moment. If you're still at early game, say still around the newer parts of Into the Future, then probably level 20 is enough. Level 19, level 20 is enough. But past that, especially when you're going near mid game or even just mid-late game, I think level 30 is a must. If you don't have the XP to upgrade the units, then don't upgrade the unit. If you're not willing to spend XP to fully upgrade a unit to such a high level, then just don't do it. This is seriously so important. Do not upgrade a unit halfway. Most units that are only leveled halfway are pretty much as good as level 1. This is especially very true for Ubers. Ubers have massive stat gap on leveling up. A half-assed upgraded Uber will have a gigantic difference in stats compared to a fully maxed out Uber, especially when their true form is significantly better. Not only that, Ubers takes a lot of XP to upgrade. Even just going halfway would take so much XP that could have been used for more impactful upgrades on lower rarity units. I've seen so many players asking for help with levels when they have multiple Ubers at level like 14 or 16, while every other units they own are also very lackluster as they lack the XP to upgrade anything at all. This is a very bad situation to be in, and I cannot stress more on how important it is to upgrade to the max or don't upgrade at all. Don't be ashamed at keeping your Ubers at level 1, it's actually a very good strategy for saving XP. Now, moving on. Second, prioritize. You need to know which units to prioritize when upgrading them. Actually, a lot of the points I'm about to make are about prioritization. There's not just one rule to follow and that's it. There's actually a decent amount of things to consider, and most of them you should take them with a grain of salt. But either way, the general rule of thumb is to give priority to units like this. Stat-based units over proc units over units with barely any stat difference over useless units or UR dumps. This should be obvious at least. Stat-based units, Generalist, units whose main powers came from raw stats, should be prioritized. This doesn't apply to only DPS units and tank units, mind you. This also applies to certain meat shields, most specifically Crazed Tank. Many levels drop in difficulty when your meat shields can take more than one hit. You should still keep in mind that some stat-based units are also useless units. For example, Bondage Cat, my favorite unit to bash on. Bondage is a stat-based unit, but he's so bad at high levels that he's going into the useless unit category anyways. Next is proc unit. If you don't know what a proc unit is, basically units that are mostly used just for their abilities like Sanzo, Pirate Cat, and Psycho Cat. Their levels generally don't matter much, as increasing their levels does not increase their proc chance and effect, but increasing their stats also increases their health and survivability, which can be very impactful when your units can easily take hits from enemies. The thing about proc units is that you can pretty much leave them at level 1, and sometimes they still work just fine. Another thing is true form. A lot of proc units actually gets a massive change in true form, so upgrading proc units just to get their true form can actually be extremely worth. Next are units with barely any stat difference. This might sound vague, but these are mostly those 75 cost units, Mohawk, Crazed Cat, Gato Amigo, etc. Some of these actually don't matter as they die in one hit from pretty much anything at all, but at high enough levels, some of these units can take extra hits from support enemies or peons, which could actually make a big enough difference for you to win a level. And finally, last ones are useless units, or UR dumps as we call it. Units that you really only upgrade just to get user rank rewards. Now mind you that despite being at a bottom priority list, UR rewards aren't all useless. Certain user rank, for example, the ones that unlock level 25 and 30 for certain rarities, are great, and unlocking level 25 and 30 for Crazed is even more important. A decent amount of special rarity units are usually very cheap to upgrade, making them great UR dump. Now moving on. Third point is another one about priority. Prioritize Generalist or prioritize the best in a role. To give an example on this, say you have a choice between going all the way for either Amaterasu, who is effective against all traded enemies, or certain other specialists such as Windy, an anti-floating specialist, Tundia, an anti-red specialist, or Makako, an anti-alien specialist. In this case, I find it better to go for Amaterasu first. On specific situations, Windy, Tundia, and Makako are all bound to work better than Amaterasu, but Amaterasu is a good generalist enough to help you out and do her job well despite not completely demolishing the stage. Another thing to do, prioritizing a unit best in their role. For example, if you have Momotaro, which can reliably freeze red enemies, then maybe you don't need to focus on getting ICAT unless a strategy really requires the guaranteed proc. If you have Coppermine at level 1 on early game, then perhaps you don't need to focus so much on getting Sanzo as fast as possible, since Copper can help with early game Banban very well up until a certain point in the game. Certainly not to late game, but it is good enough for early SOL. Now, next one. Fourth point, if the unit only shines in true form, don't be afraid to get that, even if the units are not stat based. Certain units, especially ones that were released at the very early stages of the game, are extremely weak, or really just not good before true form. However, once in a while Ponos gives them a blessing of an absolutely amazing true form that makes them so much better than their evolved counterpart. This applies to various units such as Sanzo, Archer, Sushi, Hacker, Applecat, or even Ubers such as Keiji, Togeluga, Cat Machine, Ice Cat, Baby Cat, Balaluga, etc. Units such as Sanzo, Applecat, and Balaluga are all not stat-based units, yet they are really good in true form. This just stresses the first point even further. You either go all in or you don't upgrade at all. A level 29 bishop and a level 1 bishop are both equally useless, but a level 29 bishop and a level 30 Sanzo have massive differences. Don't be too afraid to upgrade these types of units, but you also gotta remember that upgrading further than this may be unnecessary as these units don't benefit much from leveling up. And now, fifth point. If you have XP saved up, why use it? This is another point that I think should be strongly noted. I often see people say on Reddit asking questions like, oh, I have this huge amount of XP stored, what should I upgrade? While obviously XP is for spending, but if you are already capable of clearing most stages with the units you've already upgraded, then you really don't need to upgrade anything else, don't you? I think it would be wiser to just save your XP until you have a trouble with a stage and then upgrade units that can help you in that level. Either that or maybe you're about to beat a stage that gives you a drop unit such as Crazed or Advent stages, then you can use the XP you saved up to upgrade said unit if it's worth the XP. Alternatively, if you want advice on what units to upgrade with your spare XP despite that, at least say what your progress is and what your goals are. Perhaps there are some advent bosses you haven't beaten, perhaps you have some upcoming legend stage that you think could give you trouble. That would give more accurate directions for people to point you in. And finally, last point, take this with a grain of salt. Or not. But, personally, my focus on upgrading is generally super rares and rares first, and then Ubers. And trust me, this isn't because I'm a player who restrict myself on not using Ubers. No, this still holds true even if you don't restrict yourself for not using Ubers. This isn't always true, of course, because there are always exceptions, but for me I would highly recommend upgrading certain super rares if you have them, especially for early mid-game. Super rares are extremely powerful in early game and will still be powerful throughout endgame. The super rares that you should definitely be focusing on if you have them are Castaway, Vaulter, Drama for early mid-game, Weightlifter and Can if you can get their true form, Cyberpunk for late game, as well as most Craze units, especially Wall, Gross, Fish, and Dragon. Katatsu and Swimmer are also very good candidates for upgrading. For rare units, the ones that are very good to upgrade and true form early are Cyborg, Ramen, Cameraman, and Sanzo. Although you just need to get the true form for Sanzo, you don't need to boost him. A bit later in the game, focusing on true forming Thaumaturge, Psychocat, and Necrodancer is also recommended. Once you have the bare essentials down, this is where I recommend upgrading your Ubers. But remember, this doesn't really apply to a lot of Ubers. I would say this is generally true, but most of the time you want at least 1 or 2 generalist Ubers at usable levels, maybe even before getting the upgrades for the super rares and rares I mentioned earlier. If your Ubers are extremely good generalists such as Gao, Jizo, Amaterasu, etc., then yeah, focusing on them before upgrading your rares can be a decent idea. However, just keep in mind that getting an Uber at a usable level requires so much XP that it is comparable to upgrading multiple rares to max level. That is all for saving XP. Now moving on to farming XP, which is my other topic in this video. This one's way shorter, don't worry, it's just going to be some tips on farming XP. Let's get right into it, with a topic related to my last point about spending XP. Upgrading units that are good in XP stages are worth the investment. This is mostly focused on non-Uber units such as Paris, Drama, Vaulter, Weightlifter, etc. Why non-Ubers? Well, it's because they're cheap to upgrade, of course. Of course, if you have Ubers that do exceptionally well in XP stages such as Jizzo or D'Artagnan, then you should also upgrade them. Farming Wednesday stages for Cat Jobs item, if you don't have them, is also worth it. Wednesday stages drop the Cat Jobs item, which increases your XP drop by 50%. The stage is easy and quick, and the level only costs 80 energy for a 50% chance to get the item. The Blitz stage is only 150 energy for a 100% chance to get the item. It's super efficient. Of course, if you have a lot of them already from other means, then you don't need to farm them. XP drop from XP farms is as the following: Merciless XP over XP Colosseum, over XP Mega Blitz, over weekend or normal XP stages, which is the same thing. Keep in mind though that Merciless is only playable once per schedule and Colosseum only appears during XP Blitz, which is basically whenever Ponos wants to. Mega Blitz, however, is on every day, and you can check when it is on using the schedule on the menu. If you can beat Mega Blitz, the normal XP stages are completely obsolete. If Colosseum are on, farm the hell out of it. Colosseum is probably the best general XP farming stages, as it is not hard, not long to do, and drops a huge amount of XP. There's a way to cheese the stage once you own Bombercat, which makes the stage extremely fast to do, and another one with boosted Yukimura, which makes it even faster. Another note is that sometimes during anniversaries or when certain milestones of the games are reached, an event called
Monthly Event All-Stars Ultra Anniversary
appears. In it is the stage Ultra Stress, which can be rushed using a certain strategy. The stage only costs 100 energy and has a 20% chance of dropping 1 million XP. For energy efficiency, this is actually around as good as Colosseum, except that you need to run it 5 times, so it may take a bit longer even if you can rush it. Still, Ultra Stress is a very good XP farming stage. There are some other anniversary stage that also has the 20% drop of 1 million XP, but they take much longer to clear, so keep that in mind if you wish to farm them. Now, continuing from this point, save flags for Colosseum. What's flag? Well, 8.2 introduces a new flag feature that basically lets you save up energy refill. Any action that previously fully refills your energy, such as picking up your UR or clearing legend chapters, now instead gives you a flag item that you can use for energy recovery. This even overflows if you use it. As I said from previous point, Colosseum is pretty much the best stage to farm, and would be the best stage to spend flags on, as 1, it doesn't always appear, and 2, unlike Merciless, can be played multiple times. Keep in mind that this video is made with 8.2 being the newest version, so if there are newer XP stages, all of this information might be outdated. And finally, don't farm G-Ticket to pull for XP. Seriously, don't. G-Tickets are a very inefficient way of farming if you're looking purely for XP. The 1 million XP drop rate is very low and the energy cost to farm G-Ticket is extremely high. Doing an actual XP stage is guaranteed to be so much more worth it. Not to mention that you can use the Cat Jobs power up to increase your XP drop during XP stages, which you can't with G-Ticket. It's very inefficient. Sending Gamma Toto to the XP caves or exchanging units for XP are also not worth it. That is all. I might miss a few points and some points may be vague, but this is my general advice for peeps who find themselves having trouble with managing XP or simply don't like farming XP in general. You can trust me on this one. After all, this is coming from a stingy Asian who thinks any food above $5 is luxurious foods, and I'm sure there's a decent amount of you guys who think the same, huh? Oh, and also, let me share you a secret
technique in getting experience points that will make everyone happy.